Anyone who does not drive a Ferrari is a lazy idiot.
Whenever I charter a jet for a flight, I always ask the stewardess,
do you take weekends? Do you stop working at 5? Great. Stop complaining that you aren't making more.
I recently talked to a Wall Street Journal reporter about how young men are investing in things like stocks, crypto, and more recently politics. And because of that, I was able to make it into the article. I mean, that's me. But shout out to Financial Failure. He was the main focus on this article, and he was the one that even hooked me up on getting the interview. His channel covers more crypto-related topics, and it'll be linked down in the description. But this overall experience actually raises really important questions, like why are young men today more tempted, or I would consider more desperate than previous generations to make financial bets? Let's start with the obvious. In 2025, the conversation about making money has never seemed more urgent. Unlike previous generations, new form of investors aren't playing it safe. They're not primarily value investors. They're only focused on maximizing returns. And this is simply because everyone feels like they need to because they're living in a hardship economy. See, 70% of Gen Z and millennials are living paycheck to paycheck. Student loan debt has reached a total of $1.7 trillion, while home prices have nearly doubled in the past 2 decades, but real wages haven't grown. I mean, they're nearly stagnant. So now more than ever, people truly have that get rich or die trying. They're trying to take bigger swings. And the main focus because of this is they're currently living in hardship and they want to escape it. The real conversation needs to be had of what truly is the working class. It's simply paycheck to paycheck, only working just to survive. And most people don't want to live in that situation because many people are trying to break out of that slow and steady income because they're not getting the results that they were promised. Trying to risk it all is probably the only way that people see results that previous generations were nearly guaranteed to get. I mean, just think back a few generations ago, sitcoms were really average of just a single parent income household while living in middle suburbia. So asking why people are willing to take such a large bet, well, it's simply a reaction to the current living conditions they're in. Let's be real. Wall Street Bets was simply a reaction to Wall Street excluding average people who wanted to invest their money. And crypto is simply a financial response to the '08 crisis, which locked out many Americans and only helped out the traditional wealthy. And betting on sports, politics, or current events is simply just that desire to turn frustration into potential profits. All of these movements and reactions are simply a response to someone being systematically ignored. And while obviously these come with risk, I feel like people aren't looking out for the main thing that they actually come with, which is hope in a community. A recent example was literally Wall Street Bets users rallying with GameStop. I mean, most people hated GameStop, but this wasn't just to make money. It was actually to stick it to the hedge funds who were taking advantage of people for so long. Because it's very clear and Googleable that the top hedge fund CEOs are able to buy homes that are up to $200 million. That's a clear form of rebellion against the system that has been depriving average people for so long. Now, obviously, this intent can come with a form of greed, but it comes out of survival. And even while stating most of this information, I feel like people are missing the elephant in the room, which people are broke. And the reason why articles like this sort of focus on it is that because young men are feeling this the hardest, so they're willing to risk more. I mean, you can find so many studies that talk about how young men aged under 30 have the highest rate of unemployment or underemployment amongst all age groups. And a scary stat is that an average 25-year-old working today is making less than his father did at the same age if you adjust for everything like inflation. But it's not just wages, it's the overall cost of living. For instance, the median rent for most places in a high cost of living area is well over $2,000 to $3,000 for most places, and that just comes with like a studio apartment. The average home price for a starter home is well over $400,000, and don't even get me started on the price of gas, because the transportation cost must be factored in if you want to go anywhere. A gallon of gas used to cost anywhere from $2 to $3, but now can stretch as far as $5, $6, $7. Meanwhile, everyone's simply telling everyone to work harder, but if you understand the concept of pull yourself up by your bootstrap, it's just a sort of disingenuous term, because if you've ever tried it, you're pulling yourself up, which is even harder forced to do. Because today, people are literally watching pensions disappear, union efforts get crushed. I mean, even college degrees are sort of losing value. Everyone has them. So what's left for most people? Risk. And this comes with the form of illusion through most platforms. See, first in this case, we need to talk about investing, which is the first gateway drug. Directly after COVID, we saw retail investors trade up to $600 billion through ETFs, and this was primarily on accounts like Robinhood. While nothing is inherently wrong with the platform, it's slowly enabling a new form of investing, which is YOLO investing, which if you're familiar with Wall Street Bets subreddit, then you know what I'm talking about. And if you were to go back to the heights of GameStop, you saw Robinhood have 3 million new users in 1 month. On one hand, you were able to see people invest in options and turn $100 into $5,000. So the appeal for something like this is completely obvious. It's easy to use, it has an instant order execution, and there's 0 commissions. And on top of this, it was likely #1 in the App Store, so people didn't have to go anywhere. But the less had conversation, but was just as common, as how people were losing money. It's like everyone overnight became a day trader, but if you know any stats, most day traders lose money. And unfortunately, with the meme stock rallies, retail investors were the last one holding when the stock went to zero. But still, that dream of getting money fast is what keeps people around. And just as fast as people will go to investing, people will turn to crypto. See, for many, crypto isn't just an asset, it's more of a lifestyle. And while yes, there are plenty of projects that have great devs, that have technical understanding, that are hoping on the project, I would say most users in the space are only in it for the money. See, while on one hand you have things like Bitcoin and Ethereum, you have meme coins on the opposite. While you can always argue that one of these random coins has a potential, it just comes with a gambling frenzy. The crypto market at its peak neared $3 trillion. Dogecoin surged 15,000% in 1 year. But the problem with this is that most crypto traders lost money. Most retail investors were the one left holding the bag with the rug pulls and the pump and dumps. Apps like Coinbase and Binance made it very easy to invest, and spaces like Twitter and Reddit made it very cool to have a community. But now a new meme coin literally launches by the hour, with TikTok users pushing tokens that literally vanish overnight. Because for many, crypto is literally just a digital scratch-off ticket. And this is what leads me into what I think is probably the worst form of investing, which is gambling. This is literally the gamified version of, well, everything. You can bet on sports, politics, and anything in between. Sportsbooks, DraftKings, FanDuels, all of these have become household names. All of these have simply turned your phone into a casino, or worse, you can go to like Stake or Kick and see 24/7 betting on sports, slots, dice, and everything in between, life events. And you can bet on things like the presidential election, federal decisions, celebrity outcomes, sport outcomes, and you can do all of this from your Robinhood app. And let's call it like it is. The reason why it exists and the reason why it's growing is because it makes a lot of money. Just the sports betting market alone hit $11 billion in revenue in 2023, and it's likely only going to increase. But the gambling addiction amongst men under 30 has increased nearly 60% in the last 5 years. And if you go to most content creators, you can follow a rabbit hole of XQCs, Aiden Ross, all gambling. And while I don't want to simply put the blame of gambling on content creators, it's at least brought it to the mainstream. Gambling used to be limited to certain sections, certain states, but it seems like it's going to be mainstream relatively soon because of how much money it makes. That's why it's no longer just casino gambling. Now it's sports gambling. Next is going to be live events gambling. All of this invokes emotion. You're going to be tied to betting on your team, your identity, your beliefs. You're just scratching that itch because it's very clear. We have the data. Gambling addiction is very bad, but with the stats we also have on increasing population doing it, it's only going to get worse. And with all of that, it only makes it harder to stop. But I completely understand why people are doing it. Remember, this is simply a response to the question why. The overall solution is simply financial freedom, but it's going to come in the form of messy decisions. And whether it be stocks, crypto, or gambling, this gives you a tribe and hope. But the way out is going to be messy no matter the situation, because you're up against a multi-trillion-dollar machine. People are up against multiple systems that are designed to take their time, their attention, their money, literally leaving them with nothing. This system thrives on you having hope to get out, because at the end of it, you're only going to be addicted, confused, and broke. But at the end of this, you have to understand the real play out of this. It's going to be get educated and understand that you're even up against that multiple trillion-dollar machine. You have to focus on building real skills. You have to understand delayed gratification, because you understand instant gratification gets you nowhere. That slow and steady progress only works if you have a tangible skill that helps you get out. Because the truth is that this get-rich-quick scheme is built on your loss. We have to have an open conversation of trying not to be the product and hopefully be the exception. Now, I'm gonna have a link to the article down in the description, but understand that these articles simply bring up the problem, and I just wanted to bring up the why.